What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed with the Ascend Your Success podcast, and today I get to interview my friend Ronnie Manns, who's been one of my clients for over a year now, right? It's been over a year. Um, he's come in, he's taken action, and he recently quit his job a few months ago, which was a really good job too. So I'll let you kind of talk about it though. Before we kind of dive into it, just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, stuff like that.
Well, my name's Ronnie Manns. I'm originally from Mississippi, central Mississippi area. But I moved over here to Decatur for a job and ended up loving the area. And I'm still here. Married, Colombian wife. So Spanish is a big part of the family, even though I don't speak it. Been married 12, going on 13 years. 2 kids.
Awesome. Heck yeah. And so you're a local guy. You're doing deals in the Decatur, Alabama area and the Mississippi area, back where you're from, which I hear is doing really, really well. So you came in about a year ago. What made you decide that you wanted to get into real estate? Because I think you had 1 or 2 rentals before you got into the program, right?
Yes, sir. I had thought about real estate off and on several years, even when I was a teenager. I just didn't have anybody to point me in the right direction. Then before COVID, me and the wife, we had a rental and we also built some houses. And then I ended up getting out of the building market because around that COVID time frame, things got more expensive and super competitive. And I just didn't have the money back in me to be able to compete. Right. But I did in the rentals and stuff. I came over here and I ended up meeting you. I don't remember exactly how. You put on a conference in a 1-day conference in Huntsville.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great conference. And I ended up talking to a couple of students you had then. And they sold me on the idea and I haven't looked back. I've been a student of yours about 15 months now.
Man, that's amazing. So take me through what that looked like when you first got started. Obviously, there's a huge difference between people that have never done a deal and people who have done the deal, know a little bit. I would say you knew a little bit, right? But you were looking to do more. And for me, it's much easier to help somebody that's already done a couple of deals or knows a little bit versus somebody that I've got to convince to do it, right?
Right.
So what was you wanting to get into? What was your idea? I think we talked about it at that conference a little bit during lunch. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was going to start off. My wife's a realtor, so she could help me with a little bit about paperwork and this and that. But what we do is not realtor stuff. So maybe realtors are out there like, well, I know everything. Well, it's a whole nother niche that you need to get familiar with. I wanted owner financing, and I saw a need for it. I had an interest in it, and that's what we went for, and that's what we talked about.
Yeah, I think that's what draws a lot of people to this group is the creative financing side, and I think a lot of people talk about it, but they don't go into as much detail and hold people's hands like we do. It's kind of this. I know for me, at least, it was the same way. It was like this mysterious strategy that a lot of people talked about, but not a lot of people like really walked you through the process. And man, once I started doing seller financing, and I only started like 2 or 3 years ago, I started kicking myself in the butt for not doing it 5 years ago, So I think like that's what draws a lot of people in. And I think like if you're listening to this, most people who are listening are like new beginners and things like that. And you need to learn the creative side because it just opens up the door for so many more deals. And it opens up the door to do deals that are harder to get, cash. A lot of people just pitch a cash offer and then they move on when they get rejected. But once you start learning how to create win-win situations creatively, you start to, open the door to do more deals. So that's interesting. So let's talk about one of your deals. You got in, you started doing free marketing, right? You didn't just start off doing paid marketing, or did you start doing paid marketing?
I started off looking at the MLS because that was easiest, simplest, cheapest. and then we went to paid marketing. But one of my favorite deals actually came off MLS. I was able to get a couple of houses at one time from the same buyer. One of them was a better deal than the other one, and I was able to get it for roughly around, I want to say 120, and it appraised just a little bit of flooring, not much. It actually appraised like 175, 180.
Wow. Heck yeah. So when you found it on the MLS, and I've been telling people a lot here lately, like the MLS is coming back as far as getting deals, because I've got two under contract right now that I got off the MLS. One of them was listed for 190 and I got it for 168. And the other one, it just happened to fall in my lap at the right price, and we scooped it up. So if you're listening to this, like, definitely keep an eye on the MLS, because I know a lot of people that are still buying on the MLS, and the key to that is making offers. It's making offers daily. I tell people, like, make 3 to 5 offers a day, and just no matter what, even if you're $50,000 less than what they're asking, make it, because you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know if they're just trying to get, offload this property or not. And, I was surprised when I got that one house for 168 and they had it listed for 190. So shoot your shot and make the offers, because you never know. But you got this property, you found it on the MLS, your wife's a realtor, so she was able to see it, right?
Right.
And then how did you guys end up funding the deal?
Well, I ended up, that particular one, used bridge money, which I learned about through you. And then we closed with a local bank, a small bank.
Oh, okay. So you kind of done it the opposite way of what most people come in and do, which is they get a hard money lender and a bridge lender, and then they have to refinance out of it later, because that's short-term money, right?
Well, it was let's see, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was short-term money. Well, you're right. Most people use short-term money. Mine was not short-term money. So you're right. I did it kind of opposite. It was I did that one on a 10-year loan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. So you got a bridge lender to loan you the 20% to take it to the bank. Is that right? Okay, that's interesting. So how did you get that bridge lender? Because the bridge lender is short term, right? How did you get that money back to that lender?
Well, I refinanced it.
So so the bank gave you a construction loan. Is that what it was?
They call it, yeah, I guess that's what they call it, their own terminology.
Okay.
Basically, I put some flooring in, and after a few months, they didn't have a seasoning period. I was able to refinance.
Wow. Okay. So not a lot of traditional banks will do that, but I'm sure you probably got a good relationship with those guys. And so I always tell people, like, just ask what you can do, because going to the bank is so much cheaper than going and getting a hard money loan and a bridge loan and this, that, and the other. And it's just so much cheaper. I mean, like, you could probably get in and out of deals $10,000 to $20,000 less by not using a hard money lender. Not saying that you shouldn't, because I use hard money all the time. But if you have the ability to do what you did, I bet you saved a lot of money on it.
I was able to move faster from loans I've had in the past. I was able to move lots faster. I was sure about myself because I had you and the team behind me to ask questions to, and everything went smooth. And when I needed help, I had help. I didn't have any major problems, and I got confidence from it. I was excited about the next deal, and I'm still looking.
Right, for sure. So on the back end of that, let's talk about what you did as far as the strategy. So we talked about the front end, where you found it, how you got it, how you funded it, how you got the money back. What was the strategy? How are you making money on it now?
Well, I owner financed it. Somebody brought me, I want to say, it's been a few months, but I want to say they brought me 25,000.
Oh, wow.
Which I helped to pay the loan down some.
Mm-hmm.
And owner financed it. Easy as that.
So, okay. So that's primarily for those of you guys that are listening, the seller finance model that we use and we teach is to, if you buy it with cash, or whether you buy it with cash or you buy it on seller financing terms on the front end, you can also seller finance on the back end with a tenant buyer. And that's what Ronnie's talking about. So essentially he's all in for what, 120, maybe a little less. But then you turned around and what'd you sell it for roughly?
If memory serves correct, I sold that one around 175, 180.
Okay. So you're all in for 120. You sold it for 175, 180. They brought 20,000 down, right? So they probably are all in for around 145, 150. So you still got like a $20,000-$30,000 gap between what you've got and what they've got, right?
That's right.
They're paying an interest rate, I'm sure that's 10 plus percent interest.
10 plus.
And so they're making a mortgage payment, they're paying the insurance, they're paying the taxes, they're maintaining the property because they're buying that house long term. I'm assuming you done a 20 to 30 year loan with them?
They did, no, they did a 10, and I also did a 10 with the bank to stay on it.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
You're right. That's the only one I've ever had with a 10. Most are 20 or maybe 30.
Yeah. So what's the cash flow look like on that after everything's said and done and paid for?
I want to say, I haven't looked at the number in a while, but I want to say I'm doing around 600 a month with that one.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people all the time is look at that as a rental property, because if you rented that, you probably make $100 to $200 a month net, right? After everything's said and done and paid for. Realistically, in a year, if the water heater goes out, the HVAC goes out, something springs a leak, which it will, you really don't get that $100 to $200 a month anyways, right? But you put that up against a seller finance deal where you just got, number one, you got $25,000 down, right? That's $25,000. Like you said, you put it towards the loan, but you probably could have pocketed some of that money. So you get money up front, and then you're making so much more net cash flow because you're selling the property to them long term, right? So our average is around 600 to 650 net after everything's said and done, where a regular rental isn't, right? And with the seller financing, you don't have the responsibilities that you do as a landlord. And that's what I tell people. Like, people say that seller financing isn't generational wealth. Well, if you look at how much interest you're going to make on that one property after those 10 years, you come back to me and say, if you do 10 of those a year, even if you do 5 of those a year, you tell me that's not generational wealth. Like, it's insane.
Oh, I've got no problem with it. I love it. Yeah. In the last, I want to say that was 10 months ago, I have not put $1 back in that property.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to ask them for money either. It's always sitting in my account waiting.
Yeah, they're paying a mortgage, right? So whereas rent, it's probably the last thing that ever gets paid. And if something comes up, you're not getting paid, right? Whereas you're paying a mortgage on the seller finance side, and you have the risk of losing that down payment. I mean, it's essentially like they're working with the bank, right? I'm not saying that you are the bank, but it's like working with the bank. And if you don't pay your mortgage, you lose the house, you lose the down payment, you lose everything that you put into that house, right? So it's more of a priority to pay your mortgage than it is to pay rent. So I'm telling you, man, like, I wish I would have started so much sooner doing seller financing than I did. So anybody who's out there listening, if you haven't added the seller financing strategy to your tool belt, we need to talk, because you should.
It's a great strategy. I've enjoyed it.
So you have this is interesting, because I haven't been able to re-interview some of the guys who have transitioned from the beginners class to the mastermind, right? So for those of you that are listening, we've got a beginners community where we teach people how to do deals, the foundations, the basics, and then we have this mastermind that we teach people who already know how to do deals, how to do more, how to put systems and processes in place, automatic follow-up, how to hire, fire, and just grow an actual business that you don't have to be in and work in, that you can work on, right? So you're the one of the first ones, and you just transitioned a couple of months ago. So, what has that been like for you to start to take it to the next level in that sense?
Well, I've just continue learning. It's just another step. Getting on the phone calls with you guys, learning about some new advertising, and that's what I was going over this morning and last night. Been researching CRM to be able to handle some stuff for me, because I know I'm going to have some new text messages and that kind of thing to send out, and just it's just another tool in the belt.
Yep. Yep. So you recently quit your job in the last few months to do this full time, which is amazing. It took you it took you right at a year to do that, right?
Yeah, a year, maybe. Yeah, just a little bit longer than a year, I think it was. But it's
You
great.
probably could have quit sooner, but just security. It's a big step. It really is, and it's not taken lightly for sure. But what's your goal? What does it look like in the next 3 to 5 years for you in real estate?
In 5 years, I would really like to have, I'd say about $40,000 a month coming in. I'm not the kind that I have to have millions and millions, but I want to be comfortable and do what I want to do when I want to do it. And, I don't want to be pressured by a ton of paperwork, but being able to stay busy is nice too. Gives you a purpose. And I think about that amount would be fine with me. And maybe start venturing a little more into commercial.
Yeah. So that's if you do the math on that, I believe I'm doing this right. At an average net of 650, you're talking about netting for 40,000, or are you talking about grossing 40,000?
No, netting. In 5 years, that should not be a problem with our numbers. I
Yeah.
would think.
No. I mean, that's essentially a deal a month for 5 years, right? And even still, like, that's definitely doable. But even still, even if it's a 10-year goal, I mean, that's still, it's still an amazing feat. I mean, $40,000 a month is crazy. I mean, you're talking about making somebody's annual salary in a month. So, it's definitely doable. I mean, obviously one deal a month is definitely achievable. So yeah, I think that's an awesome goal for you guys. I think that's a goal that you don't have to have a lot of overhead to accomplish, right? So that's awesome, man. So we're coming up on time. If you could go back and give somebody advice that's just starting, what would, knowing what you know now, what would that advice be?
You could do it. Don't listen to everything a banker tells you, because that's why I didn't get started any sooner. And they're really good at what they do, but it's like anybody else. If it's not their niche, their specialty, you have to find that person. It's their niche, it's their specialty, it's their calling, and go ask them about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't ever take advice from somebody who's not doing what you want to do, right? I had plenty of people that told me I should be careful, told me I shouldn't be doing this, that I had a great job. Like, I mean, but it is what it is. Like, I felt like I was called to do something greater. And, once I started getting away from those people and surrounding myself with people who said, yeah, you need to do this, and you need to do more, do better, and started pushing me. That's when my life started to change. So yeah, definitely, be careful who you're hanging out with. Be careful who you're getting advice from. And that goes for the other side too. Like, even people on the other side of the fence, that could tell you to do stuff the wrong way. Right. So just be very careful. Watch what that person is doing. Look at their values, their morals, and who they hang out with. And then decide, right? Move move correct, right?
I couldn't say that strongly enough. I try to hang around the best people you can and keep a good, clean name. When somebody says, Ronnie, I know I can go anywhere with a smile. There's no problem.
Right, right, for sure. Well, man, I appreciate your time. We'll have to get you back on in a year or two and see where you're at, see if you're on track for your goals.
We'll see.
So I love it, man. Thank you so much for being on. Hey guys, if you heard something you liked, or you heard something you're like, man, I'd love to be a part of that community, and do what these guys are doing, reach out to us. Go to ascendyoursuccess.com, fill out a form. I talk to every single person that fills out a form personally, and whether you want to be in or whether you're out, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.